joining us today. Could you please put your mobile phones on silent mode? Thank you. We are going to start by a small presentation, a quick presentation by Ms. Hana Sudan. Ms. Hana Sudan is a program specialist at Relo office, US Embassy. So could you please welcome her?
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you very much for inviting us to this event. It's always very encouraging to see people want the development, the professional development. It doesn't happen a lot, so you are unique. You are one in a million throughout the country, believe me. I'm Hana Sudan from Relo office. Relo is the regional English language office. We are part of the public affairs of the US Embassy in Cairo. Our office is very small. It's only 4 people. And what we do is we try to help English professionals, teachers, and we also support learners, students in some way. So I'll give you a brief presentation about our office and what we do in the office and who we help, what we do, and how you can benefit from our office and our scholarships. So first, it's US Embassy. The regional office is actually covers all of Egypt, and we used to cover Saudi and Sudan as well, but right now they thought that Egypt is big enough, so it's enough to cover the 27 governorates. Who we are, as part of the public affairs of the embassy, we are working on public diplomacy. So we're not into politics. Our office is not into politics in any way. We don't really care about politics. What we care about is how we can help the community. Learning English is good for us, and it's good for Americans as well, because they get to know about other cultures. So it's mutual benefit. It's not that they are doing something purely for Egyptians, it's mutual benefit. And we try to enhance the mutual understanding through getting Americans with Egyptians. They get to know about the Egyptian culture, we get to know about the American culture, and try to find points of similarities instead of differences. So mainly this is what we do. We liaise with the ministries, Ministry of Education, Ministry of Higher Education, teachers associations like Nile Tesol, and this is the biggest teacher association in Egypt now. And we work with public universities, private universities, and we have other partners as well. We support professional development. We support educational exchange programs. So we send teachers to the US, and we bring teachers from the US to Egypt to work with Egyptian teachers here. We also support material, English material. So make sure you get one of this today before you leave. Okay, this is a magazine. I'll tell you about it in a minute. One of the programs we have, and this is one of the programs I'm responsible for, it's the specialist program, English language specialist program. Simply, we bring American professors who work in American universities. We bring them in for a certain university or certain group of people and so on to help them in developing their capacity as trainers, as English teachers. They get to know about the latest methodology in teaching English in several things. So one of the biggest 2 programs we get English language specialists for is a program called Mentor, the Mentor program. I'm not sure if you are aware of that program or not. We've had it for 3 years, and we're planning to continue having it each year. We bring a specialist from the US in January. at the time of the Nile Tesol conference. And he works with a group of people that we get to choose. So people send applications, we filter the applications, we shortlist people, we interview them by Skype or Zoom or whatever. They don't have to come to Cairo. And then we choose 20 people from 20 cities, different cities. They get the mentor program, and then they have a duty of working with their peers in their communities for a whole year to earn the certificate. So we have a rule. You take a program with us, you don't get the certificate right away. You have to do your homework. You have to go back and help your community and prove that you helped your community, and then you get the certificate, like the certificate Gheda got here. Another program we worked on is a program with University of Ain Shams. They are creating their own English teaching certificate. So it's like the FELT of the AUC, like the CELTA, like the PCELT of Amid East. It's similar certificate, and they are developing it now. We brought so far 5 specialists to help them with this program. And we're bringing the 6th one in September. He's coming for the first iteration of this certificate at Ain Shams University. So if you're interested, check with the Blended Learning Center at Ain Shams University. So EL specialist is always an American. We also have the Access program. Are you familiar with this program? Have you heard of it? Yeah. Right. It's a scholarship for students of middle school, age 13 to 20. We actually work in Egypt between the age of 13 and 18. It's the age when they are still in middle school and high school. They get 2 years of English, soft skills. They get to know about how to resolve problems, decision making, problem solving, all the soft skills needed for students of this age. This is a yearly program, and it doesn't work in every governorate or every city every year. Every year there's like 7-8 governorates where there is access. So you have to check with the provider in your cities. We basically work with 4 providers, AUC, Amid East, and another NGO called ERA, and Fayoum University is one of the providers as well. They have access. We support Nile Tesol. We're very proud of Nile Tesol and what they do. I think Egypt had several teachers associations, but the one that really continued and really improving every day, not every year, is Nile Tesol. So we're proud to fund and support Nile Tesol. We also fund the FELT scholarships that we were having. We had interviews last Thursday, the day before yesterday, for FELT scholarships. We also fund Nile Tesol past president to go to the US every year for the Tesol International Convention. So every year we send the past president. So next March it will be Umayma Ayoub. She's the president of Nile Tesol. We also, at the time of the convention, we also sent several teachers who've worked with us on one or the other programs. Ain Shams, Mentor, eTeacher, Access. We sent a group of teachers, like 6 to 8 teachers, to attend the conference as well. And when they come back, they have homework to do, and they have to give presentations on what they learned in the convention. So we make sure that people do something when they come back. For e-learning, and since we're living in the age of technology, we don't have to travel much to earn degrees or to learn new skills. So we have the eTeacher Scholarship Program. This is a program developed by American universities. So we have, for example, Georgetown, Arizona State University. We have 5 universities working on this. They develop programs just for us, for the Department of State, and we give it as a scholarship to people. It goes all around the year. There are 4 terms. So we have spring, summer, fall, and winter. Every time we choose around 14 to 15 people to take this scholarship. So far, we have a community of around 600 people who've taken e-teacher courses. They got the certificate, and we always hold an annual mini conference around September, October, to share information and to share what people do with this information. Yes?
I have a complaint, frankly, to
Two?
she can hear you. I have a complaint.
Yes.
Because you have just started that recently in Egypt, your activity, I think, and so you excluded the people who are more than 24 years old, and I told this to you on the site, by the way, because the people who have went beyond 24 years old do not get the chance to have these.
For what?
For the grants of universities or for the TCLP program.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, this is one of the most important points I have to focus on, because this is something I feel unjust.
Right. I can't really talk about the TCLP and the teachers. The T. You're talking about the T, right?
Once I am a member of in Tesol for more than 3
Yes.
years, and every grant I find on my email, I feel depressed.
But I'm sorry, but this is not true, because I have personally, I have 3 friends, 3 teachers, friends, who went on TCLP last year, and they just came back. Adil Masoud from Asyut and his 40-something. Passant,
something
yes.
means 41, 42 to 45, to 45 maximum.
Yes.
But not beyond 45.
You said 24.
Yeah, sorry, sorry, 45.
Ah, okay. Ah, yes. I can't really talk about this because this is not our office. This is the cultural affairs, the cultural section. So they are responsible for this. I'm trying to think of who was over 45, but I think Adil is around 45. Adil is not young. He is a teacher in STEM school in Asyut.
From you concerning...
Not me, from the cultural section. Okay. But what does it say?
It gives the conditions of the people who can apply for the grant.
And is it a requirement? The age is a requirement?
The condition you put.
You know why we do that?
Yeah.
Because the impact when you come back. How long are you there in your place where you can help the people around you?
Allah gives me the age, inshallah. I have 15 years in order to serve. This does not make logic.
I'll tell them.
I have something to say.
Yes.
This year, someone from Armenia is called Mr. Thail. He's over 50, and he is going to travel for the TCLP this year.
TCLP?
Yeah.
Okay.
Over 50.
Over 50?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the rules will vary. I'll check with them. I can't talk about something. It's not in my hands.
Send you a copy of the email.
Okay. All right. All right. So the e-teacher programs, I receive applications all year round. You can send your application anytime. I hold interviews, telephone interviews 4 times a year. So right now I'm interviewing people for the fall semester that starts in September. So right now, these days, I'm calling people, and I have to nominate the people who are taking the course this week, inshallah. There are also MOOCs. Are you familiar with MOOCs? What does it stand for? Yes? Right, massive open online courses. It's free, you can register, you don't have to go through the embassy. You can register right away, take the course, take the assignments, submit your assignments on time. You finish the course, you will get the certificates from us. They send us your certificates and then we distribute it. But we don't get involved in the choosing. There is no choosing for the MOOCs. Anyone can take it. In the e-teacher, maybe we try in the interview, I just make sure that the person is working in a school, public school or private school. It doesn't really matter. Their English is good enough to work on something as academic as the certificates. But other than that, there are no requirements. We don't have age requirements.
I attended the Voxy
and Voxy, yes, Voxy was right. Voxy was very popular. It was very good. But it was a pilot, so it's not offered again. It was one chance.
There are some similar things like that.
No, not really, not like Voxy. And then we have the webinars, and now they call it AE, American English Live. So there are 3 Facebook pages that I want you please to make sure that you like the 3 pages. You will find a lot of resources on them. First one is Relo Cairo, our page. You will find it at the back of the brochure. And you will find a lot. We announce all the announcements. We put it on Relo Cairo. We put a lot of information every day for learners of English and for teachers of English. The other page I want you to make sure to like as well is American English at State. This page is American English, and the webinars that now it's called live, American English live sessions, they have it on the page itself. You can register from the page of American English. The live sessions are always 6. In every iteration, they have 6 sessions. If you attend 4, and when you attend, you register, you write your name, and you take part in the conversation, you can send questions and they answer your questions and so on. If you register, your name is there, and you attend 4, at least 4 out of the 6, you get a certificate. And again, they send the certificate to us and then we send it to you. But mainly you register on your own. You don't have to come back to our office for registration. E-teacher is the only thing that you have to send your application to me. Okay? The Forum magazine is what you get now. Make sure you get one before you leave. Forum is a very interesting magazine. It's a magazine for teachers, and it's written by teachers. So it's like teachers like you in different countries who their English is not their first language. It doesn't have to be like, it has to be an American or an English person or whatever, or Australian to write articles. Anyone can write articles. You can write a lesson plan, you can write tips for a classroom, tips for 5 minutes left at the end of the lesson and session and you don't know what to do. You will find a lot of ideas in this. So you can actually participate in this magazine. And this is good because if you put an article or whatever, if you send anything to this and you put it on your CV, this is an addition. This is very good. This is an advantage that you write to magazines. This is the website I told you about, American English at State, and there is American English for educators. So these are the 3 pages I told you about. Relo Cairo, American English at State, and American English for educators. For educators, American English for educators is very important for any English teacher. You will find lots of ideas, lesson plans, ways of teaching, grammar, vocabulary, anything you think of, and new ideas, of course. There is one session today about project-based learning. This is one of the things you will find a lot of ideas about it in English for educators, because this is the latest thing in teaching right now, task-based and project-based. This is our website. We also, at the embassy in Cairo, we have the American Center. what used to be the IRC, it used to be called IRC, Information Resource Center. They changed its name into American Center. Anyone over 18 can go, you can get a membership for free, and you find a lot of resources inside. It's a very good way of spending your morning away from the heat and learn at the same time. It's fun. They have virtual reality, you know, the new toy of virtual reality. That's amazing. They have it. Anyone can use it.
Forget it completely. So the idea is your memory drops to 58% after only 20 minutes of learning anything. In an hour, it drops to 44%. And as you can see, it goes on. Imagine if this crab thing, would you remember it in an hour? Probably not. Yeah? Because it's probably irrelevant. I don't need it, so why would I keep it? Okay? So the idea is to help our students with this forgetting curve. And instead of it, because it will go down always, but I'll either keep it on a steady base or maybe fluctuating. But I don't want it to just keep going down. This is a fact. Scientists that found that the brain uses the same function to forget and to remember. So these are what called neurons. Neurons in your brain use the exact same function to remember and the exact same function to forget. So why do we forget? Why do we forget?
New information.
Not so info coming in and out every day.
Not important information.
Not important, yes?
Useless.
Useless, right? Yeah.
Because it's our nature.
It's only natural. It's only natural.
Interrelation,
Where is that?
interrelation of information.
It's not connected to anything, right?
Because we didn't put information in a long-term memory.
Yes. Yes. Good expression, because we're going to come to the long-term part. We simply forget to make new space for the new information or the new memory. Okay? Your mind just pushes something to the back to make space for the new. Because we have not used this memory or this information in a long time, so forgetting actually makes you smarter, because the more I forget, that means I'm getting more ideas and more information. So why do we still see forgetting as a negative thing? Why? Why do we have to ask our students, you have to memorize this? Why do parents, who deals with parents in schools? All of you, right? Who's a parent?
Yes.
Don't you always want your kid to I want them to memorize this, but at the same time, you want them to learn better than you did and use it and be smarter about it, but memorize it. Yeah? Because we still see forgetting as a negative thing. It is not. It is not if we learn more about the brain right. In 1 minute, this is what happens online. Okay? Let's think of the generation of kids up to let's say that was 2000, 18-year-olds now, possibly this is the age we teach, from 8 to 18. This is what they have in their mind in 1 minute. There is 973,000 logins per minute on Facebook. 187 million emails sent. So there's so much going on in their brains. So it's only natural that they're going to lose some stuff. We use the brain differently. So this is something you need to know, you need to understand. Our brains are not used to memorize anymore. We use the brain to sift, to find, sift through information to find what's important. So our memory is no longer about memorizing data, but its usage. How do I use this data that I learned? It's important also to know this. All new memories are created equally. For example, today I taught my students about the present simple and the past tense, okay? To him, to my brain, to my neurons, These are treated equally. What happens later when you make a connection, make it important, make it relevant, is what determines where is it going to be stored and how am I going to find this information in my brain. The brain is not like a folder on your computer where there's files or a stack of papers. No, it's a spider web. It's a tree where everything is connected to everything. Information retention depends on two major ideas. The first one is the strength of our memory, the quality. Some people have a better memory than others, right? But the general trend is about the forgetting curve and the amount of time that has passed since learning. Okay? Does anyone remember his ثانوية عامة test? Okay. Which test do you remember?
The English one, of course.
Do you remember everything in the test? Do you remember what you studied?
Yeah.
Do you remember the story? What was the story name?
It was
Sorry?
hard times.
Yeah, because you probably have taught it after, right?
Yeah, it was hard times.
Hard times. I can't remember it. I have been trying. I can't remember. And I can remember actually the name of one of my teachers. From KG to adulthood to high school, I can only remember one teacher because she was a good teacher. Anyone else I can't remember.
Were they unimportant?
No, they were important at that time,
Yeah.
but they never left a mark. She was the only one who left an impression on me. She was my English teacher. So the amount of time also contributes in your memory retention, okay? Now the point that we wanted to talk about, teaching strategies. What can I do? How can I help my teachers? Let's take a look at this one. This is from a book for middle stage, middle one, preparatory one. The unit talks about spending money. And at the beginning we have this, how do rich people get rich? Do most of them inherit a lot of money, work hard, win the lottery, marry rich, win money in a game? What kind of activity is that?
Warm up?
A warm-up, yeah. Why? What's the point of making a warm-up?
It paves the way for the lesson.
You're building for the...
Paves the way for the lesson.
You're paving the way to the lesson based on
The subject.
previous knowledge, right?
That's the amount of information the students do
Yeah,
before I elaborate.
exactly. I want to test their level or what kind of information do they have about the subject, and at the same time I want to build on it. This is what one of the strategies we call connections. So we need to create connections all the time. It could be brainstorming questions, lead-ins, warm-ups, video, audio, anything. Take a look at this one. This is a questionnaire also for middle one for talking about money. How much do you know about money? Do the quiz and find out. Once you do the quiz, it tells you if you spend money responsibly or you're like a shopaholic. What is this? This is
Personal.
personalization, yeah? Again, I want to make a connection. I want this memory to last. This is why I'm doing that. Talking about connections, under connection there are other strategies. Activating prior knowledge, you said lead-ins, warm-ups. Analogy. You can ask your students to try to relate some material to previous material. For example, I want you to think, let's say I'm talking about famous people today, so maybe I'll give them a Muhammad Salah picture, okay? Who else can you relate this to? Abu Treka? Okay, what is common? They play football, right? And how can you relate these two to each other than football, right? Oh, they are famous people, they're Egyptian. So this is where you can draw some connection. Pre-teaching. Do you find sometimes when you teach reading that you have to pre-teach vocab before even starting the lesson or the task of reading? Why? Why do you have to pre-teach it?
Warming up?
Do you, no, Why do we pre-teach vocab?
To be aware of the vocab while they are reading the text.
But when they read the text, they might understand it. Why am I pre-teaching this?
Maybe they cannot guess the meaning.
No.
To be confident.
Confidence? Okay.
To activate students.
Okay. When I
use the words level in expressing
Okay.
or giving sentences.
could be.
To remember it.
Okay. If I'm pre-teaching vocab while reading, before a reading task, it is because if I don't teach this now, this will stop them from understanding the task, not the text, the task. So I'll ask them, for example, to do MCQ, choose. Okay, one word in the choose is really difficult. Without it, they cannot answer this question. So I have to pre-teach it before the text. It might be in the text, but most importantly, it is in the task after.
Excuse me.
Yes.
Is that for all the ages of learners? I mean, for children, maybe you do it, but for adolescents,
You still do it.
I mean,
When we-
no, excuse me. There are some steps you did them first. Read
Of course,
silently,
of
the
course, of
silent
course.
reading.
But we're not talking about reading text. I'm talking about the task after reading. Okay,
After or before?
after reading. So let me ask you a question. If I give you a reading text today, okay, after the reading text there is comprehension questions, okay? What is the objective of a reading lesson in your classroom? Is it to read? No.
Is a skill?
No. Reading is not the skill I am doing here.
Just
Because I want you to answer the comprehension question. So what is my objective? For you to comprehend enough to answer those questions. Now let's say I have a question with a word that is difficult to understand and it will stop me from doing this particular question. So you have to pre-teach it. I can't assume they know it, and I can't put them in the difficult position of answering a question with a word they don't know. Very difficult for them. This is different from the reading steps and the skills of the scanning and the skimming and everything that we do. This is one way of stopping my students from failing in the comprehension section. It's not everything about reading, it's one of the things.
But don't you think that will not give the student the chance in order to think and think critically of the meaning of the guessing, as someone said, of the previous?
Again, you choose it carefully. So this word,
just one word. Of course,
No,
the
no,
passage
not
has
one
more
word.
than the.
it's not about the passage. When you
Yeah.
pre-teach vocab, it's not about the passage.
You said
It's about the comprehension questions after.
You said the passage and you choose some words
No.
from it. Yeah.
No, you don't choose some words from it.
Yeah.
When you do a reading text, you have reading text and after it, comprehension questions. One of the questions has a word
Yeah.
that will make it difficult for me to answer. Talking about what they have sketched, it's time to do some reflection as a teacher, okay? You can ask questions, you can get answers, elicit from each other's words, okay? Maybe I can do this so I can ask them, what do you think happened next? In your page, you'll see this part where it says, describe your sketch and your reaction to the story below. Okay? So, what was your reaction to the story?
Boring.
It was boring? Okay. Why was it boring? Okay. All right. Has vivid images. Okay. Descriptive writing. Okay.
I wish I wear him because that
Remember, he dies in this part.
not no,
So beware of the count.
we all die anyway.
Yeah, but he dies in the next. The roller coaster. That's not
I'm not taking it. I take the comfort zone.
Yeah.
So I think it's nice, because attractive, natural, vivid places.
Has vivid images.
Yes, river,
Actually see
natural
the,
scenes,
yeah.
scenery.
Yeah. The cars, you can see the roller coaster, the air, the kids maybe playing. It's an amusement park, remember? Now, what else can I do with this activity with my students? How can I
other experience
Yeah.
of this.
Yes. Okay. If you ever go to an amusement park, what do you think what do you think you would see? Okay. Let me
This is
your
what-
experience, right? And
What
let's
you have just all personalized.
yes. So after your reflection, you can do more extension. If it's a writing, a more advanced writing class, you can ask your students, okay, how do you think Eddie died? Because this is the first page of the book. I don't know yet.
The seatbelt wasn't tied.
Maybe, right? So when we talk about visualization, yes,
We can also give them a situation and asking them to work critically on this situation. For example, a boy has never bought a ticket and we try to go on a ride, asking them what's the correct
morally, yeah.
action for this. Is it correct?
Should they like get the
If you
police?
find someone like this,
What would you do? Right. So there's so many activities that you can just get out of 4 lines in any book. Okay. Visualizing brings it to life, right? And you can do a lot with your students using visualizing. Do you think your students would forget this experience? No. It was engaging. It was personalized. It made a connection. Okay. So we remember things because it is relevant. Yeah? Let me ask you a question. If you, for 3 weeks, you have been traveling and you went to 3 different hotel rooms. The first hotel room, while you're staying, do you remember its name, its number? Do you remember the number of your room in a hotel? While I'm inside in the hotel, I definitely remember it. How about the next hotel? Do I remember the previous one?
Sometimes.
Probably not.
It's related to something like my
Yeah.
favorite
Maybe I
members.
left my bag there, so that's memorable. Okay. Do you remember this room's number or this room's name? Meeting room. Do you remember where? Second or third? When was it relevant? Before we came in, yeah? It was only relevant before we came in. Is it relevant now?
It's over. No.
Not really. Okay. So remember this idea of the room number. So we need to make our lesson or our tasks meaningful and have value, so they become relevant. You need to always to show your students the why. Why are we learning this? What's the goal? What's my objective? If you as a teacher cannot answer this question, you really should consider changing your instructions or your task.
Please, could you elaborate on why objective focus?
Yeah, your student has to know why they are learning this. It's not enough to say you're learning this because this is an English lesson.
The purpose.
The purpose. Why am I learning about shopping or about money? What would I do with that? They need to have the value. Encourage students to come up with their own why. Okay? So today we're talking about shopping, and we're going to take words about shopping and money. Why do you think we're learning this?
Because we need to do shopping.
Because we need to do shopping, but the words itself, I can go to the mall without actually.
We might meet foreigners.
You might meet a foreigner, you might travel abroad and go
Yeah.
shopping, you need some assistance, you need to know how to ask for it, you need to know what is the meaning of the word money or currency, because this will help you in the future. They can come up with their own why. This is even better. I didn't tell you why we're learning this. You came up with it, okay? Why am I learning math? I hate math. I hate mathematical problems. I hate problem solving. I don't know what's algebra from geometry. I don't know why. So if I cannot answer this for my student, if I cannot show them that there is value in this, that there is a future job maybe in this, I need to think again about my objective in this lesson. Some students will be happy with because my teacher told me so. This is enough why for them. Do you have those students?
Yeah.
Those A students who are so eager to make their teacher happy?
Yeah.
I'm learning this because my teacher said so. But not all students can do that. Relate to students. Does anyone here teach KG students? Yeah, okay. In any KG book, if you look at Unit 1 and Lesson 1 in KG 1, what is it usually about?
Classroom orders.
Either classroom objects and instructions, or family, or my eyes, my body and everything. Because at the very beginning, I need to relate to his environment, his close environment. Okay, you cannot start by telling him the different rooms in his house. You do this in KG2. He's more advanced now. But first, you need to relate to the closest, and so on. Why do we sometimes struggle with middle students, teenagers? Why do we sometimes struggle with them? Because we really cannot, make that relation or connection to what they're doing. They have Instagram and Snapchat from day one. I just learned about this last year. So there is this gap. So the more relevant your material is, the better retention your student will have. What if students don't see value?
You create a value for that.
Yeah, future. If they don't see an immediate value, try to relate it to their future. Okay, it's time to learn something. This is American Sign Language.
Please.
Yeah?
Is the getting the marks of the final exam? Is it
Enough it is. For some people, other people in Egypt it is. But you will find that the more you grow, the less you care about this. Yeah, and at the end, my goal is language, not just the test. So you need to break this cycle, the Egyptian cycle of I have an exam and I'm so tense and I need to get a high mark and I need to go to a good school, to have a good life, to have a good wife, to have money.
The role of the teacher himself, how to make the student get the marks of the exam.
Yeah, I'm facilitating, I'm not an instructor. Yeah, you had a question?
Yeah, I work in a secondary school.
Public?
Yeah, and most of my students, I put in them that they learn English for the sake of the language. And if they tried hard to learn it, they will get whatever objective they want.
Yeah.
From the very.
If I'm good at English and I learn some how to answer those questions in the test, I'll probably be good at that. But it will not be my only objective. Okay. This is a word, it's an American Sign Language word. You know sign language?
Yes.
Okay, so can you try this with me? Giraffe.
Giraffe.
Again, giraffe.
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 Okay. Okay, teacher.
Teacher.
Teacher. All right. Now, every two people sitting next to each other, okay, the one on the right needs to teach and the one on the left needs to only listen. Okay? So, for example, your name? Ms. Ghada? Muhammad. Ms. Ghada will teach Muhammad those two words and he has to listen and imitate. Okay? I will say teach and you say okay. Once I say teach and you say okay, you just start. Okay? So, remember giraffe and teacher. One word I learned in Arabic Sign Language is this is the devil. But in Arabic, the devil.
No.
this is different.
No, this is love.
Uh,
This is the devil, you know, because of the horns. This is the only word I remember. Memory, again, is really funny. Okay, this is what we did is repetition and practice. Sorry?
pepper.
Pepper? Why? Because you
it's
smell
hot.
it?
لا,
Ah.
pepper.
Ah,
Chili.
okay. Repetition and practice. Not all your lessons and not all classes are going to be fun or fantastic. Yeah? We still need repetition and practice to create this, what we call automicity. I want my student to be able to move between the short-term memory and the long-term memory quickly, efficiently, without extraordinary effort. How can I do this? Part of it is the practice and repetition. How do we do them? We create the memories that will last. You remember things that you did, not the things that you learned, right? So that involvement, the practice and the repetition part. So it's more possible that you will remember giraffe because you taught it to your friend, more than if I say teach the word orange or anything. Okay. Scientists have found also that when students are given multiple opportunities to review material, they perform better. Revision after we took the task, even a practice test, revision on the next session, recapping. Space out. Have you ever heard of the space out strategy or effect? You probably do it, but it's just a different name. Take a look at this. This is from level 3 elementary students. Each one of these is a different unit. So these are 6 units, and this is grammar. Okay, the first one, it was sunny yesterday, what was, where. So what is this? Grammar point? Past. Which part of the past? Verb to be and? The affirmative first, and just the yes or no question. Yeah? Okay, take a look at the next one. This is in another unit. Looked, did, didn't. Isn't this past as well? It is, right?
Yes.
But it's different part. Again, did the woman cook? Yes, they did. No, they didn't. Isn't this also past simple?
Yes.
Okay. This is the space out. When you spread the material over some time. When I was taught English, I remember specifically that my teacher used to give me the past tense, every single detail about it in one lesson. Was that memorable?
No.
Possibly not. Probably not. So when you space it out, segment it, make it a bite size, it's more digestible. Yeah? You become, your retention becomes better. Yes?
What about the syllabus? If we are working about
This is the syllabus. Like
But in our books,
new
the
books,
syllabus-
it looks like this now.
Past simple, past perfect together in secondary school, for example.
Okay, but
Is
you
it-
teach the whole, every single part in the past simple? Does it mention this in the book?
Yes.
Everything?
It's
No,
recycling from
stage,
before,
second
actually.
stage, everything.
Is it the first time they are taught past simple?
Of course not.
In ثانوية عامة? Yeah. Yes.
At the same time, or at the same lesson, we are teaching present perfect, past simple, and then comparison between both tenses. If I forget something, the students will forget something. They will tell me they are working outside with a private.
Are they working outside correctly? No.
Because they have covered this in the previous years, it's natural.
It is natural. However, if they covered it in the previous years, again, this is the space out effect. It's already done. Do we only take present simple in year 1?
No.
No, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and upper grades as well. This is the space out effect. You take something and you keep recycling it. Not because they take something outside or they know it, this doesn't mean they are right, or this is the right way to teach it. They have learned it, good for them, fine. But for me to teach it right, space it out. Learning as well needs you to space it out. If I sit today, remember in our ثانوية عامة we used to have those columns of words. Dum, 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 dum,
The
dum.
same.
Again. Dum, 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 dum. Was that memorable?
No.
No. What if I do this on like every unit? I only study the vocab of every unit once or twice a month. Much more memorable. You space it out. You spread out the information. And you repeat. It's fine to repeat. This is where the discipline and the automaticity comes. Make sense? Okay. When I do repetition and practice, we talked about segmenting the task. Segmenting the task can be as simple as this. So this is actually a worksheet with 3 exercises. If I give this to my students and I want to segment it, how would you segment it? Can you segment it? These are 3 exercises. Don't read it. Just take a look and tell me how can I segment it. Activity after. Okay, that's it. This is how
Then to 3 practices.
you segment it.
That's it. Easy.
That's it. Okay, do this task. Once I do this task and I model it and make sure they got it, then feedback, make sure everyone is on the same page and successful. Move on to the next part. Now he has confidence and he knows that he succeeded in this. See what I mean? It can be as simple as that. All right, I'll have to go quick because they are telling me I'm going over time. Although I started at 12. Okay, I started at 12. Okay. Scaffolding and modeling, when you demonstrate something, make sure you give them time to demonstrate. Step back, let them do it, make mistakes, give feedback, and do this process all over again. Success and feedback, okay. Okay. Very important, practice tests have to be low stake and ungraded. I already segmented. When this will boost long-term memory and fight stress. When you every day you do a practice test, the final test is not as scary as because I have already I've already done that. Team practice, like what you did, peer-to-peer, teach okay. Student-teacher, remember when we were kids, we loved to be the teacher and stand in front of the class, maybe teach or do anything. It gives you confidence, it makes the memory of teaching more memorable or more retainable. Maximizing practice time, when you do any activity, you need to analyze it. Is this just for fun? Or do I benefit from this? Do I get something out for my students? Are we practicing or are we just laughing? Test formats have to be different. Do not group similar tasks together or similar rules together, because automatically the student's brain will just follow one rule and do this. You know CrossFit? Does anyone go to the gym? Have you ever heard of CrossFit? Yeah, CrossFit is when you do a complex and different, exercises for your body after each other. This gives you better fitness, builds more muscles, burns more calories. The same thing is cross-training your brain. I do an MCQ here, and then I do a filling in the gap, and then I do writing. This is not brainstorming, brain training, cross-brain training, different formats. Yes, but together, not like one page of MCQ, and then another page of, no, you just need to mix it up. Okay, quickly, over learning material. We tend to learn and do practice tests until we reach one error-free trial, right? So if I keep making a mistake and I reach one time without a mistake, you just leave it, right? No, you need to do this more so you have several trials with no errors. That makes sense? The idea of a scoreboard confirming success to your students also helps with memory retention. Okay. Okay, I'm not going to show you the video. Take a look at this one. Okay, this is one of my students, but he's actually, he lives in Spain and he's teaching Arabic. So he created this idea to teach non-Arabic speakers words. So see, like qalam has the pen in it, so they can deduce how it looks like and they can try to. One of the ideas of the strategies of using unique visual aids for your students.
Yeah, please. We did this in first year prep last year. It's called incorporation.
Yeah.
The students invented pictures for each
for
word.
the word.
For example,
How was that lesson? Wasn't it great?
Yeah.
Wasn't it satisfying for you as a teacher?
and it's retained in the memory.
Much more memorable. Okay. Use mnemonics. For example, students always make the mistake of the word environment. Yeah, the IRON is just tricky. So you tell them a new environment will iron me out. So it has IRON, like iron. A new one. Compliment or compliment. What's the difference between these two words? Compliment means
Greeting somebody.
praise. Praise. Giving someone a compliment, like giving praise. What's the opposite of compliment?
Complain.
Criticism.
Insult. Insult starts with an I. So compliment starts with there's an I here. How about this one? Compliment means to
Complete something.
complete. Complete means enhance. Enhance starts with an E. So compliment with an E means enhance. So it's a mnemonic, something that you do a connection, try to help your student with.
Please, what do you want to say about the first example? I didn't get it.
The environment,
A new environment. What?
students always make a mistake in this part, IRON. They don't in spelling. So you give them this statement, they remember it. A new environment will iron me out. So they remember that iron is part of the environment. It's a mnemonic.
Like a rhyme.
Yeah?
Nerves.
Okay. Ask your students for their own strategies. How do you remember this? How do you study this? How do you learn this? Familiarize yourself. Read. Go online. Get books about memory strategies. This is a video I will not share. Finally, emotion. Using humor in class makes the class more memorable. Avoid sarcasm as much as you can, because not all, like I like sarcasm, but when it's in its place. But it's not a good idea with the lower grade students.
Not all students.
Yeah, but
Maybe on myself sometimes.
sometimes.
Just
But
to make them
you
laugh.
don't want this to be the general feel of the class. Progress and growth record. Positive, genuine praise. Use statements. I'll tell you two statements and you tell me the difference. You did very well on this exam because you studied well. You did well on this exam because it was easy. What is the difference?
First one is better praising.
First one involved you did the work, yeah? It's not because the exam was easy, you studied well. Also, the exam easy or not easy is out of the student's control.
Yeah.
So you don't want to draw this connection. This is one of the things that makes memory or retention better. So this is a recap. We talked about how to have, what kind of better strategies we can have for our students. We talked about
Connections.
anyone, what's connections? We need to create connections. Yeah, and it has to be meaningful, it has to show value. Repetition and practice are indispensable. Remember or know more about the strategies and apply them. The emotion part is very important for memory retention. Any question? Yeah.
In the traditional way of teaching inside the class, repeat after me, one of the students come to the board and say the word, and the other student is
Yeah.
repeat after him. Is it useful?
Is this meaningful repetition?
Yes, for
Is it
vocabulary.
is it meaningful? Is
No.
it okay? Then it's not.
It can
Ask
be
yourself:
about-
is this meaningful? Like when I ask you, repeat. Okay, I
Repeat
will.
after me.
Okay,
Like this.
this is a zabut. Repeat after me. Zabut. يلا كلنا. زعبو 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 زعبو. Thank you very much. Okay. But one of the ways to do meaningful repetition is variant. Okay. Can you? All right. I'll say pen. 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 All right. Everyone. Okay. All right. Everyone.
Pen.
So this can be one of the variations to make it more meaningful. There are so many ways to use repetition in a meaningful way, not just the usual alphabetic thing we do. So, but we're out of time. So thank you so much. These are the resources. This is my email. If you have any question, you can email me.
Aiton University, USA. She's a teacher trainer, marketing manager and instructor, Egypt, Jordan, and Gulf area. She's a member at large and member of the Professional Development and Special Interest Group Committee, Nile Tesol Board of Directors, a Nile Tesol presenter, Notting Hill College presenter, and a member of the Egyptian-Chinese Friendship Organization in Hong Kong. Would you please let...
Thank you very much. Did you enjoy your coffee? We did. You hardly did. Okay. Miriam said that she has passion to food. Yes? I have a passion for languages. So I speak 3 languages and I'm learning the 4th. I'm learning Chinese. Sitia, yes.
What are the 3 languages?
English, French, and Italian. I tried German, but I couldn't stand more than 3 days. The Chinese, I think it's been like 3 months now, and I'm very hesitant about continuing the course or not. But I just put aside the writing. I couldn't go with the writing. So I'm going to teach you some Chinese today. First of all, when I say hello, we say ni ha. So ni ha. All of you ni ha. And good morning is Zao Chen Hao. So Zao Chen Hao. So ni hao. Zao Chen Hao. Thank you very much. Okay. Comment ça va? Oui. Comment stai? How are you? Zayak. Okay. So today we'll be talking about listening. And I know that actually I'm very much an instructor into classes. I like very much to deal with skills, English, writing, listening, reading, vocabulary, whatever. So when it comes to listening, I tour around the whole of Egypt and in Jordan and in the Gulf area. And I always find that the teachers are putting listening aside. And of course I know why. Because listening requires a lot of things to be present in your classroom. We need a CD player, we need speakers, we need sound, we need. But the listening I'm talking about today is the listening that the least teacher in the least school can do. Very much down to earth. Suppose that I'm doing listening in a 5-star school, and all of a sudden an electricity power cut happens. It alters completely what I'm doing. Yes? So we have to adopt and adapt. The teacher has to have a second plan, very good. So that's why today we're going to work as if we don't have any kind of gadgets. We are going to design our own listening activity. Or if we have a book that has listening inside and we cannot deal with it, how can I do it in the best way? So that's why we're very much down to earth. So our learning objectives today what are some of the factors that affect the listening process? And then we are going to know about the listening process, and then we are going to design some activities for the classroom. Either downloading something from the internet, what should we do with it, or having something that already have, how can we deal with this? Okay, why is listening considered an important skill? Yeah. to communicate with people.
They are listening to you while you're speaking, and then you are listening to them while you are talking.
Excellent. Yes, sir.
Because the more you listen, the more you speak.
Excellent. Yes.
The first, because it's considered the first skill that everyone who wants to learn another language, he should listen first.
Okay, actually babies when they are born, yes, this is the first thing. And we always say that in verbal communication, communication can never happen unless I listen to the speaker's utterances, I understand them, and then I deliver the message. What are you doing now? You are listening to me. And as teachers as well, we need to listen to what English speakers are saying in natural speak. We need to understand them. We need to watch films in the internet. Our students are now applying online for courses or for traveling abroad, or sometimes they have some interviews online, like Dr. Hannah said. So they have to listen very well, and then after this, they are going to deliver the message. So, what are we targeting when we are having a lot of skills or a content inside the book? When you are teaching your book, the course book of English that you are teaching, are you targeting content or skill? Yes, sir.
I think skills, because content is just means of teaching skills. We need to teach students what to do, not what they have.
Excellent, yes? Both of them. So actually, what you do is that you use the content to teach skills. So that's why today, while we're doing listening, it's not listening for listening and that's it. We're going to use listening to teach grammar, listening to teach vocabulary, listening for pleasure, listening for writing, listening for everything. All of the skills of English should be integrated together. It's not a chest of drawers where we put everything in a drawer and just we close it. And whenever we need something, we pull it out, we take it and use it and then put it again. So this is the idea of how are we going to use the content to teach skills. And if you look at the map of English between receptive and productive, or input and output, okay? The output, the productive skills are two. What are they?
Writing and speaking.
And amazingly, our students all are very weak in these two productive stages, which means that the input was not very excellent. It was not done, because if I have a good input, so the output is going to be okay. Okay, so there is a study that says that regarding the language skill acquisition, 45% of the language competence comes from listening, and 30 from speaking, 15 from reading, and 10 from writing. How is this? If I'm not, for example, in Chinese now, I haven't reached the level of being fluent, but I can put words beside each other and I can give it to a native speaker, they can understand me. Okay, you see this idea? Like the Saidi people in Upper Egypt, when they take the tourists and they are describing the monuments, they are not accurately speaking in English, but the words beside each other, yes. Even the structure, if your structure in writing is not that good, still you can make a lot of mistakes, but overall, I can get the message. But if you did not get the message in listening in the perfect way, you will never be able to deliver the message. That's why here, today I want you all to be all ears. Very good. Okay. Now we have a song for 2 minutes. It's a nice song. And there are some lyrics that are missing from the song. And I want you all to receive the paper. Once you receive the paper, you stand up, we play the song and try to write the missing words. Actually, this activity, nowadays, some of the course books, they are providing the text like this, or after the module or the unit is finished, they are testing the vocabulary of students by reading the text again and doing disappearing words from the dialogue. Okay? So let's make it very quickly. Can you do this for me? Thank you very much. Okay. You received the paper, you stand up, please.
Yeah.
If you want to share with your friend, it's okay. But because we are in an event, but this is very much an individual work. Are you ready? Okay, have a seat. It's a very relaxing song, yes. By the way, the boy who is singing is Egyptian. Yes.
Wow.
He's called Hani, yes. Okay. Hani Mustafa, yes.
Is it Egypt has got talent?
No.
Is he living in Egypt?
صاحبة السعادة.
Is he living in Egypt?
Okay, I'll tell you later. Let's finish first. Okay, so what was the first missing word? Spiral. Very good. The second?
Wheel.
Quickly. The third?
Revolving.
Revolve. Excellent. The fourth?
Bibbles.
Pebbles. Okay. Number 5?
Footprints.
Footprints. Then?
Fragments.
Fragments. Then? Hair. Then?
White.
Very good. So this is a way sometimes that the book is presenting the vocabulary. Sometimes, even when I was a teacher a long time ago, I used the text after presenting the words in context and the students know what are the meaning of all the words and things like this. I again read it out and do the same procedure as Miriam did, where I allocate a certain sign with the word. If I say spiral, you do something like revolving. It can be something like this. So this can be done with the text. Okay. We say that listening is comparatively difficult because it has something called the interrelated sub-skills. Interrelated sub-skills are the steps by which the brain is overgoing in order to receive the message from you. So what happens inside? Yes, sir. First of all, we have what? Wake up. Receiving, then understanding, then remembering, then evaluating, then responding. You see, in these few minutes, what happens in these two lobes, when I speak to you, you just take from me, if any of these is missing, so the message is not going to be delivered in the proper way. That's why when you design your own listening or you work with listening, you have to be very careful with what you choose and what to do. We'll do it practically in a minute. Okay, why do students find listening a bit challenging? Why do you think?
They didn't use it.
They are not used to it, okay? And even if they are used to it, sometimes things happen, okay, concerning the content, the text itself or whatever.
The environment is not.
The environment, okay. So sometimes the text has unfamiliar vocabulary. Sometimes the grammar is not very clear. They are not familiar with it, okay? They haven't taken the present perfect before, for example, and the whole text is written in the present perfect, okay? Although sometimes grammar does not very much hinder understanding. يعني you can get it from it, but يعني I still want to concentrate out in order to do this. Then maybe the text is too long. Maybe several people are talking, is very confusing for students, and you are asking them about each and every details of the people who are talking over the CD. And maybe unfamiliar context is not related to their culture. Culture-wise, they don't know what is this. Or lots of details inside, especially if we have biography of somebody. Where did he go? How did he get this idea? How? Maybe the topics, they are not interested. Theme is not clear. The accent is very quick, for example, or the speed here or not very clear. Idiomatic speech, you know, nowadays most of the foreigners, they are not using the classical ordinary language. All of them are using, yes, idiomatic speeches, collocations, okay, phrasal verbs, things like this. The task too difficult. Sometimes this is the fault of the teacher. The teacher gave the students something that is over their abilities. That's why they cannot do it. Maybe unprepared for the discussion. The teacher did not prepare them or did not give them the task before they start. Just listen and that's it. What happens if I give you a listening now and said, just listen without giving you any task to do? You have multiple intelligences here inside the classroom. I myself am not very much an audio person. I'm very much a visual person. So unless you tell me while you're listening, do 1, 2, 3, 4, if you leave me kid under my own, I won't. Okay? Okay. Or not prepared for the format. For example, you're doing listening to third primary and the format is a political article or something. So they are not very much familiar with the format. Or lack of background information, and this is very, very important. So, the factors that affect the listening process are 4. Number 1 is the speaker. Number 2, the listener. Number 3, the content. And number 4, the visual support. What about the speaker? The speaker covers who? What do you think?
Sender. The sender.
The sender, okay. What's wrong with the sender? What can, hinder the process of listening?
The accent.
Yes, maybe like we said, we are just taking the previous slide and we're dividing it upon different slides. So it covers what? The number of speakers, the speed, the variation in accent, colloquial language, or reduced forms of the language. How can I overcome something like this as a teacher?
The script. I can bring the script.
Slow down.
You slow down.
Clearly, speak clearly, and use the familiar language to the students.
By the way, remember that I'm using listening today for different purposes. I'm not just listening for this class and that's it. The idea is I am building up the vocabulary and the grammar and the writing and whatever of the student through my listening skill. So what do I need here? I need to look at the kind of text that I'm going to be providing the students for listening all through the year. Suppose I'm going to do it once a month, once a term, once in a whole year. Okay, it doesn't have to be on regular basis every week, for example. So I need to know what kind of text that I'm going to give the students. The students are going to be exposed to different kinds of vocabulary or languages. That's why, in order to this, I have to use these words in everyday classroom. Exposure to the land. How do you build up your vocabulary? How did your little children, got to speak Arabic? By the exposure to the language, yes? Nowadays they are speaking the language of the street. Why? Because they are exposed to this language as well. So if you want to build their vocabulary up and you want them to be familiar, of course in course books in English, we don't have something offending, okay? It's just like the colloquial here is not the colloquial meaning the street. It means something that is very common, yes, and very easy for them. So that's why the exposure to the language, we give them the ability to comprehend. Okay, what about the listener? Look at this yellow highlighted words. Tune out. A tune out means?
Change it. Silent, make silent.
Tune out topics, it means that if I don't understand or if I'm not a very good participant in your task, I'm going to be deaf. I'm not there. You play the CD or yourself or you do whatever 10 times.
I don't care.
I don't care, I'm not here. I tuned, okay, and I just hear, these canals, I close them. They are not there anymore. So that's why, how to increase the listening comprehension participation in conversation by giving them a background. Now you are going to listen to a conversation between two people, and I want you to tell me their attitude, for example. Who was angry, who was happy? Preparing the mind. I give sessions for whole brain teaching, and when you look at the brain in the whole brain teaching, you see that the two lobes of the brain are very busy when you give them more than one thing to do at the same time. There is no time for one cell to be busy doing something else, doing a nightmare in class, for example, okay? So that's why here, they have to know exactly what are they going to listen to. They are for while listening and which are for after listening. Gentlemen, could you please be helpful and try to spread this out? This would be nice.
Okay.
Need more? If you want to work together, it's okay as well. I will time you. You have 5 minutes. I always take a rip in my session so that when you finish, I start running over the rip, but I didn't get it today. Yeah. Anybody ready? Okay. Time is up. Okay, so number 1, pre-listening. Which numbers?
Number 4.
Okay, let's make it more organized. Okay, raise your hand if you want to answer. Yes, sir.
Number 2,
Yeah?
number 4,
Yeah.
number 9,
Okay.
number 10.
Okay. Any other options?
3.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Number 2,
Yeah?
number 4, number 9, 10.
Okay. Actually, you have yes, 2, 4, 9, and 10. Correct. Okay. What about the while listening?
1,
1,
7,
7, 8.
7, 6 and 7. 8. 8.
We can negotiate, by the way, and if we have like differences in the numbers, yes.
1 and 8.
1 and 8.
1 and 12.
1 and 8 and 12. And 5? Okay, so it is 1, 5, 6, 8, and 12. Very good. And the post-listening, of course, is the rest. 3, 7, and 11.
Wouldn't you say that number 6 is a post?
I was waiting for them. I said, okay, tell me. And I need get students to compare answers in pairs. This can go for while listening or post-listening or pre-listening, for example. It can be post, and if I dedicated for them an activity where they are going to sit in groups and negotiate with each other to give me the answer after I stop the CD, it turns to be a while listening. Okay, so sometimes we can adopt it, like I said, and adapt it to whatever I am doing, the objective exactly of the activity I'm doing. Okay, how to approach a listening topic? This is the practical part. Pre-listening activities, the pre-listening stage is the stage where the students are prepared to listen. I cannot ask them about the core of the text because they know nothing about it. And of course, in listening, we don't have the text in front of us. It's different from reading and listening that is in your course book, which means that we are listening because we need to listen to the good pronunciation of the native speakers. But for listening, it has to be, if your book provides you with listening without text, the books are open. If the text is there, the books are in the back. So listening to promote listening, because what is going to happen if I open the book in front of the students and it has pictures, questions, and the listening text, and I start to ask them to listen? I'm tracking students to different kinds of intelligences. If I'm very much a visual person, I'll be concentrating on the picture, okay? So I'll tune out. So that's why if I need to collect all my students together with me, all of them have to be doing one task. Okay? So, what do I do? If there is a picture, for example, I can ask them to predict. What do you think the text is going to be about, for example? These are some of the ideas if you are designing your own activity for listening. If you downloaded something from the internet because your book doesn't have, and I need to design things for pre-listening. So what kind of questions I'm going to use is this. We can discuss the title. If there is a chart or a diagram, ask them to predict what is going to be about. Make a list of possible things. For example, there is a picture of a space. Okay? Or label the picture or predict. Something like this. Here we have 4 pictures. Do you think that this is a story that we need to put in order? Or it's the life of a dog? Or there is only one picture that is the peak of the story that we need to circle? Predict. The prediction part, the pre-reading or pre-listening, is called a non-threatening activity. Why non-threatening?
Everything is acceptable.
Everything is acceptable as long as you justify and you are speaking your sound ideas. And what other skill are we highlighting here?
Speaking.
Of course, speaking. I'm giving you the chance to express your opinion. You're free to say whatever you want. So what do you think here? Let's predict. What is it about?
Put in order.
Put it in order. Okay, what else? Any other option?
Create the context.
Create the content. Okay, what else? Hi, yes, I'm waving.
Let's complete the picture.
Okay, what about this? This text here is a text provided without anything for students to prepare for pre-reading. It's just pictures. That's why the teacher is the one who is doing the activity with them. It's very much a controlled activity because the teacher is there. Some of the text in other books, they are providing with pre-listening questions, for example. Look at the ladies here. Where are they?
On the street.
How did you know?
There is a map.
They have
Map.
a map. Okay, the map yani, is not an indication that they are in the street. Why not?
Metro station. Metro stations.
Maybe they are looking out of the window, for example, from their home or something. For the sunlight. Okay. What is the relationship between them?
Friends.
Friends? Do you think maybe a mother and a daughter?
I don't see any rings.
How did you know? Justify, yes?
I
Justify.
don't see any rings.
Huh? Justify, tell me.
So boyfriends, boy and girlfriend.
The two women.
Two women.
Oh my
I'm
God.
sorry. Friends. I'm sorry.
Friends.
Friends.
Okay. What do you think they are talking about?
Another girl.
Buying.
Oh la la. With a map?
Another boy. Another
boy. What about their nationality? Look at their faces. What do you think
Italian?
this one is?
Western.
Italian.
Italian. And this one?
Spanish.
French, Spanish. Okay. So these kind of questions, okay, it provides a very nice and funny atmosphere in the classroom. This is number one. And as we said, everything is accepted, but you have to justify. You have to tell me why. Because when I say, are they friends? Yes. Is this a closed question or an open question?
Close one.
Very close questions. Yes, I need to elaborate on this question in order to give more space for students to speak. Excellent, excellent. Yes, speaking. This is the pre-listening or the pre-reading is a very good chance for you to make students speak out. They are expressing their sound ideas and they have the freedom. They are not afraid to make mistakes and they feel very confident and very relaxed.
Express themselves freely.
Exactly. Okay, but it is يعني شطارتك بقى take care of the class to collect it back. Okay? Okay. The while listening. While listening is the period in which the students actually carry the activities. The teacher told the students, listen and tell me how many people are speaking or what is the relationship between the two ladies or put the picture in order if you think that it is like this. So what are the activities that promote the while listening? If I'm going to design my own activity. Check items in pictures, storyline picture sets, put it in order, complete the picture, carrying out actions, labeling, multiple choice question, text completion, seeking specific ideas, spotting mistakes. All of these things, if you are designing your own listening activity, these ideas promote the while listening. While listening questions, they go under these categories. You can listen for gist, which is the general idea. We can listen for specific information, listen for details or inferential listening, which means that the answer is not crystal clear. You have to find out from between the lines. Yes? That's why if you're designing a quiz or an exam, I'll give you a حتة كده assessment. you can never have all of them WH questions. What is WH? What are WH questions testing?
Factual questions.
Details.
Details. Not factual questions. Details. Except for what do you think? كده رحنا للtrack of critical thinking. What about true and false? If I have true and false questions, what are they testing?
Position.
Like you said. It is either true or false. No or not mentioned, for example. No negotiations. If they get the answer wrong, it means a mistake of understanding. No, if the students get, for example, a sentence that is false and they said true. So this is a mistake of understanding. Yes, they did not understand. That's why when we design a comprehension or an exam or a quiz or whatever, we have to verify the kind of questions that are there in order to, because if I say Oliver Twist went to the orphanage, and then we have the question, where did Oliver go? So actually, what are you testing? يعني أحمد زي سيد أحمد? Yes, okay. So what are you testing?
Specific information.
Exactly, okay. But again, it has to be a little bit more in an intelligent way. Look at this. I'll give you an example. Listening for gist, which is the general idea, would be a question like a man speaking to a friend over the phone, asking him about a movie. And the answer as a general question would be, the movie was boring, it was exciting, it was nice, I enjoyed it. So I'm not asking about the details, we're just asking about the general idea. So this is a question for gist. A question for specific information would be something like this. What are the types of movies Kathy likes? So Kathy likes comedy or love stories or science fiction, or we are asking about very specific things, yes? If we are listening for details, it means that we are going into details of the details. The woman is called Kathy. She asked her favorite kind of movie. He is making a party tonight. She doesn't like action. She enjoys comedy. She likes foreign movies. So here again, the details are in the text itself that I need to ask about one by one. So these are different kinds of questions. What about inferential listening? Which means that the answer is not very clear and you need to get it between the lines. So we have here Peter, it says, do you think of horror films or love story? What do you think? And Sam would say, I'm not really crazy about horror movies, but love stories are often fun to watch and I really like foreign films. So he did not say, I hate horror films. The expression is, I am not really crazy about. So this is the kind of, it's called inferences, inferential questions.
Indicated yes.
Yes, exactly. And there is a clue to it. It's not a trap. There is a clue. So these are examples of questions when you design a reading or a listening or a comprehension that you need to. 5 questions. Each question will be answering or testing something. And by the end, I'm going to tell you, I can give you an assignment. It's optional. You can choose one text from your book or from the internet, and you do a post and while, and after listening on it and send it to me on the email, I correct it and give it back to you. But this is optional, okay? If you want, okay. If you don't want, no problem. Okay. Then, this is the while listening. Let's test your guessing. We said from the beginning that they are Spanish and Italian. And we said that they are in the street. Yes? Okay. So, while you are listening, again, never ever give the students any kind of activity without allocating a task. They have to know they are listening for purpose, they are reading for purpose, they are writing for purpose, or they are going to be lost. So here, I want you, while you are listening, and this is different from the pre-listening. You see here, this kind of text is full of details. That's why most of the questions are WH questions. So the kind of text that you give to students is your thermometer. What exactly should I ask about here? I cannot give here inferential questions, for example, because it's very clear. Everything in the text was just said very clear what I'm going to ask about. So you read the text, you assign the suitable kind of questions to test or measure something or assess the students on understanding or critical thinking or whatever. So while you are listening, I want you to tell me, what does Chelsea think of her trip to London so far? And which two things caused the misunderstanding between the two women? And where is Abbey Road? And what confused Chelsea about her friend's address? I'm going to leave the questions on the board, and even if the text is not there in the book, you can even leave the books open while the students are answering the question.
1A, listening and reading.
Excuse me, could you help me? Sure. You're not from around here, are you?
No, I'm from the States.
I thought so. I could tell by your accent. Are you enjoying London?
Yes, it's awesome. I went to Buckingham Palace yesterday.
Really? How did you find it?
With a map?
No, sorry. I mean, how was it? Did you enjoy it?
I sure did.
So, what can I do to help?
Could you tell me where Abbey Road is?
Ah, are you looking for the zebra crossing?
The zebra doing what?
I mean the pedestrian crossing. The famous one from the Beatles album cover.
No, actually I'm looking for an old friend's apartment. She lives there.
Well, it's only a 5-minute walk from here. Go down here and turn right at the station. Then take the second turning on your right. That's Abbey Road.
Thanks. Just one more thing. Can you tell me what this means? She said she lived at A.T., Abbey Road. What's that?
A.T.? Who wrote that?
I did. My friend told me on the phone, but I didn't have time to ask.
Ah, I know. It's 80 Abbey Road.
I don't get it.
The number 80.
Oh, 80. We speak the same language, but sometimes it's hard to figure out what you're saying.
Okay, so this is American English and British English, okay? So can you imagine? But we are the same, you know, the Moroccan, if you go to Morocco.
No, not the same.
Okay, what does Chelsea think of her trip to London so far?
Great.
Awesome, yes, there is a vocabulary word here which means that she enjoyed it, okay. And which two things caused a misunderstanding between the two women?
Intonation?
No. Asking her, how was your trip to somewhere to the castle?
Yes.
And she said,
how did you find it? She said, with a map.
With a map.
The American.
She was asking, how was it?
Yes, how was it? Okay, very good. And there is another one when she said you're looking for the pedestrian road.
Cross zebra.
Yes, the zebra doing what in your country? So the zebra
And
crossing.
80 and 80.
80 and 80. Where is Abbey Road? Yes. And what confused Chelsea? It's 80 and 80. So again here, when you give the students something they predict and they discuss and they justify, when they are listening, they are so eager to listen in order to know how much of their answers are right. So it's a triumph. You find in class, yes, I did it, something like this. So this is, you know, again, they are going to be very attentive, by the way, because they are enjoying what they are doing. Okay, what about this one?
4. Listen. A. Listen to Rosie telling a friend what happened yesterday and choose the correct picture.
Hey, Jim. Did I tell you about what happened yesterday?
No.
It was horrible. I took Spider for a walk by the lake.
Spider? That's a silly name for a dog.
Just listen. Anyway, I had his ball with me, and we played with it for a while, but then it went into the lake.
Did you jump in and get it out?
No way. The water was really cold.
But it was a nice sunny day yesterday.
Yeah, but the water in the lake is always cold. Anyway, Spider jumped in.
Oh no! Can he swim?
Yes, he's a good swimmer. But he started having problems because of the cold.
What did you do?
Well, Spider tried to swim to me, but he kept going under the water.
Poor thing. What happened?
I wanted to jump in and save him, but I was really scared and didn't know what to do.
Did you call for help?
Luckily, I didn't need to. A fisherman saw us and came near in his boat. He grabbed Spider and put him on his boat. Then he brought him to me.
Was he okay?
Yeah, he was a bit shocked, but he was fine.
Silly dog.
Okay.
You were lucky.
So,
I know.
do we have to put the story in order?
Find the picture.
No, just find the right. Which picture is the right picture?
B.
Number B, okay. But actually all these incidents and what happened to the dog was stated in the text itself. So that's why. But here, listen, when I say listen to Rosie telling a friend about what happened and choose the correct picture. Here one choose the correct picture. I'm not very much focusing on 100% understanding. Why? Because the result or the peak of the story is at the end, okay? A fisherman came and he grabbed the dog. So I cannot guarantee that my students really understood the whole sequence of the story. That's why in most of the books, you will find that there is another one here, which is B. We'll see it in a minute. The post-listening activity, we say that the, yes, okay. The post-listening activity here is the period in which we consolidate what has been learned. For example, if I repeat the CD, how many times should I repeat the CD or repeat myself even in class? This is my question? Yes, okay. How many times? Once. ليه الافتراء يعني? Why not? Actually, first of all, it depends on the degree of difficulty of the text, yes. But the maximum for the lower grades is 3, lower grades, okay, which is like up till primary 4. And for upper grades, 2. What if after 2 or 3 times you find that the students still they cannot interact with you or they cannot answer? What are we going to do? Should we alter completely the activity or modify the task?
Modify it.
Modify the task. In what way?
Using less difficult words.
If I have the text in front of you, there is no escape. I have to do it.
Okay, so use other ways, like not the same pictures. Use like drama or like
No, I mean for the same activity.
Make more illustration about the activity.
Okay, maybe I can, like, if it is a long text, for example, I can stop and cut it into like segments or chunks like this, and they can start asking the students about something and linking something to something. Yes, this can be a good way of doing this, yes? And again here, language gained and consolidation about information. If they did well with you the first time, I can play the CD once again for other purposes. Like, for example, I can ask them, while they are listening, they can highlight the vocabulary word, because if you're using a good book, so the integration of skills is from the beginning of the unit till the end of the unit. Or I can ask them if I introduce the past simple tense, so I tell them to pick out the verbs that are in the past simple, for example. So I can use the listening text for more than one purpose. I can use it for writing, where I tell them summarize the story. If the grammar introduced is past, so I can tell them summarize the story using the past simple. So this is the integration of skills together, and at the same time hitting 2 birds with 1 stone. I'm testing the writing, and at the same time I am recycling grammar and vocabulary. What are the activities for post-listening? Here's, as I said, the first one was listen, and it's not 100% understanding because the peak of the story was at the last sentence. So students even did not or tuned out the whole text. They just listened. A fisherman came and grabbed the dog, and they would say B. Here we have the true and false, which is the second part. Listen again and answer. And here we have the boy doesn't like the dog's name. What kind of question is this? Is it question for gist or detail or inferential or what?
Details.
Excellent, Yunus. Inferential, because he said, what a silly name for a dog. So it was not that clear mention that I like it or I don't like it. What about this? Rosie didn't jump in the lake because she can't swim.
No, wrong.
Wrong.
It was false.
Yes, very good. So what kind of question is this? What it is testing? Yes, very good. Something fact that was mentioned, okay? The water in the lake was cold.
Yes.
Very good, okay. Spider can swim well.
What spider, the dog or the...
Yes, spider, the dog, yes.
It was confusing here.
No, the dog is named Spider, okay?
Yeah.
And Rosie called for help and the fisherman saw them. Of course here, Rosie did not call for help. The fisherman was just in the river and he grabbed the dog. We're finishing up, خلاص, in 2 minutes. Okay. Post activities, ideas for post activities if you are designing your own listening or reading. By the way, matching picture with a topic with a text, retelling, using information, identifying. Of course, you can do like skimming and scanning after this, where you can teach the students how to have a very quick look. Like, for example, synonyms. While you are looking at the text, search for a word that means dull. We have stupid. Search for the opposite of hot, and we have cold, okay? Search for the animal that was in the water, so it is the dog. So it can be different kinds of activities for skimming and scanning while you're doing the post listening. To end up, we have ideas for successful listening. Number 1, reduce distraction and noise. Even if you are the one who's going to do this kind of listening, please don't do the listening during the period while the break is full of students and everybody was shouting, okay? So try to make it early in the morning, for example, or whatever, choose the period that is suitable. If you are using a CD player, okay, make sure that the equipment is acceptable, no distortion in your CD, or don't give them a listening while you have a terrible flu and you cannot, your voice is not that clear, okay? Postpone it until you get better. And number 3, of course, as we said, you play the text a total of 2 or 3 times. Remember, it's very hard to start with a week or to continue with a week start. You have to prepare very well plan A and plan B before you go into class. Like Madeline Hunter said, the more you think on your seat, the less they have to think on your feet. So when you just sit like كده كوباية شاي كده, you prepare. When you go into class, you'll find it easy. Number 2, please take into consideration that your students are not concentrating 100%. And that speed is not an indication of cleverness. Hasty students, they are not very clever, okay? Be very tolerant to your student mistakes, because language acquisition cannot be acquired except in an atmosphere of trust where no
threat,
intimidation,
no fear, okay? Please give them that, idea of having the guts to stand in front of everyone and make mistakes. And this is the idea. How do we acquire fluency? We are not native speakers. It's very healthy to make mistakes. Up till these stages, we are professors at university. It's still healthy to make mistakes. This is not our mother tongue. So just, don't stop and alter everything in class because somebody said he have. And I saw this in Asyut. It was a disaster.
Another thing related to what you say, when you correct dialogue questions in exams, how can you relate between writing activity and listening and comprehending together and to have a model answer? Just, it's correct to write this or it's not correct. It depends.
You see, my dear, I'll tell you something. Sometimes you cannot defy a system. But what am I working on? As a person, the teacher. I'm working on you in class. How can you provide for students the best atmosphere in teaching? How can you give them the chance to interact and be part of your learning process? Believe me, exams, they will do the exams. شيغلبوا. But the idea is, what are you presenting to me at the end of ثانوية عامة? Once somebody was saying today. What is happening in ثانوية عامة after 12 years of English, they still cannot find the answers of a comprehension? دي مصيبة. دي مصيبة. Because actually, yes, like I told you, هي ملهاش تاني. The input is bad, the output is bad. Don't imagine yourself that you are the god of English on earth. If this is the result, if your students at the end of the year, they cannot write well and they cannot speak well, so you did a terrible job. It doesn't have to do with the system. It doesn't have to do with, teacher, work on yourself. Sometimes teachers come say, how can I be a presenter one day like you? Work on yourself. Listen to others. Make mistakes. Surf the net. Discuss. Look for new ideas. You will never get talented while you are seated in your place. This is the idea. Okay? Nile Tesol, we say, our mission is your vision. Thank you very much, and this is my email if you would like to give.
How are you? I reckon you're a bit tired today. Now, after a long day of presentations, so I will give you a portion, a magic portion, where you can just be laid back and at ease, and at the same time achieve optimum results. What do you think that would be? A method that would allow you to sit back and let everything happen automatically, and at the same time achieve optimum results. What would that be, do you think?
A cold drink.
A what?
A cold drink.
Oh, would that help your students with learning? Interesting. Huh. Anything else?
A puzzle or a riddle or puzzle.
Okay, riddles. Excellent. Now, let's think comprehensively. Think of learning as a project. What's a project? What is the definition of project? Any idea? Think business. In business, what's a project?
A plan that you put in reality.
Okay, a plan that you execute. Excellent. What else?
Designing.
Yes. A design, a plan. Very good. A project, even in business, is a group of tasks integrated together to give you an end result. This project, we call it a project if we're doing it for the first time. Once it's done, the end project is out, and you're okay with it, and then you decide to repeat it again, it is no longer a project. It's a project only if you're doing it for the first time. Again, let's focus on this a bit. It's a group of integrated tasks that lead together to an end project. How is that related to learning? So this is what we're going to see now in a minute with project-based learning. So learning is based on a project, which is a group of tasks. Now, the agenda for today is, number one, you'll be introduced to the meaning of project-based learning, advantages and possible problems with project-based learning, organizing and developing a project, real-life applications from my classes, and at the end, there will be a Q&A session where, like, if you have a question, would you please hold it till the end? Let's go on, and then questions will come in the end. Number one, the introduction. Okay, what do you think? What is that? How is the teacher feeling here? How is he feeling? Happy. Happy. Who's doing the work? Who's working? The children. Excellent. Now, before we start with this, how many of you teach adults? Define adults. What do you mean by adults? How old are they?
A change of mental and physical child.
Not adulthood. I mean, how old are they?
Secondary school, so from 13 to 15.
By definition, these are still young learners.
Okay.
According to the UN, a child is a child from the age 0 till 18. He's a child, he's a young learner. What is the main difference between a young learner and an adult in terms of learning, for example, or in general?
Adults need to be convinced.
Yes, miss.
If you graduated from school or university, university.
Okay, so he's finished all his education. That's an adult.
Maybe.
Okay. What else?
Adults need.
They can sit for a long time. They are not able to work correctly. They can sit like us.
Oh, they want to sit and just learn. Interesting. They've got attitude issues.
For long time. More than adolescents or children. They like
To move.
to say their opinions.
Yes. Very good. Thank you. Any other addition?
We are adults now.
You're adults, yes. So basically, all your developmental milestones are achieved. Your brain physically, your brain is complete. Your concepts and your ideas are complete. You come to class, you adults, you come to class with your own background experience. One more thing, motivation. What is motivation? What is motivation in general?
Pushing. Motivation, pushing.
Pushing.
Giving a reason to learn.
Exactly. The reason. A reason to learn. In terms of adults and young learners, what is the motivation behind learning English if you're an adult?
Get better job.
Get a job or maybe promoted in your job. Very good. Any other reasons? Travel. Very good. These reasons, are they from inside or are they outside?
Intrinsic.
So these are extrinsic motivation. This is extrinsic. However, in the young learner case, the motivation is intrinsic. If they like the activity, they will do it. If they like the class, they will be active and engaged. If they don't like it, that's it. End of story. That's one major difference between adults and young learners. Now, how is a project-based? Oops. Okay. How is project-based good for your class? I would like you to take 2 minutes, discuss together. I want you to get like 3 reasons, 3 good things about projects. Why should I apply project-based in my class? So can you work together? You 2, you 3, can you work together? You 2, yes, you 2. No, you tell me. Tell me. That's you. You can join the class.
Excuse me, what do you mean by project?
A group of tasks that you do in order to get out an end product in the end.
مشروع.
مشروع.
I know. أنا فاهمة project بس I want يعني to understand
how is it related to education?
Yes.
Okay, we'll see this in a minute. We'll see. Okay, anybody who would like to share? Would you like to share any reasons why I should apply project-based learning in my class?
Okay, with my friend, we mentioned some points. Learning for life.
Yes.
Building self-confidence. Real putting the learners in a real learning situation. Involve and engage.
Excellent. Very good. Why else? Yes.
Put some critical definitions in practice.
Something, yeah, you put,
And,
you link
mix
theory to practice.
Yeah.
Very
and
good.
makes them applicable.
Make them
Applicable.
applicable, yes. Make them meaningful.
Yeah.
Meaningful and applicable, yes. Yes, yes. Yeah, you. Can you turn on the mic, please? Can you turn on the mic? Can you speak in the mic?
Make them related to the reality. Like
Yes.
make them more exposed to the environment.
Very good. Yes. Excellent. Thank you. Yes.
I have some points.
Sure.
Shortening the time of the activity, then making the next activity done more quicker. Saving the teacher's effort and distributing his effort to every student in order to do something different. Developing competitiveness, and it is more focused on doing, and doing is learning.
Thank you. Excellent. So do you all agree to this? Now let's add some more points. Number one, it's an integrated piece of work. Integrated means, for example, you have a group of tasks. I ask you to make a project about the environment. So what you need to do first is to go around and design a survey. In the process of designing a survey, which skills are you using? You're writing questions for people to interview people.
Interactive.
So, no, I mean lingual skills. The first thing is
Writing.
writing. Are you using grammar? Yes, of course, because you're making questions. These questions have to be like variable and cover lots of things. Some of them will be habitual, like present simple, something that you noticed in the past, something that you intended to do in the future. So now we're covering grammar. Once you finish with the survey, what do you need to do? You wrote the survey, what do you need to do? You need to
Speak to the others.
speak to people, ask the questions. So now you're speaking. You're also listening to their answers, see? So you're reading, writing, speaking, and doing everything. This is what we mean by integral work. Like it integrates every skill in one thing. Okay, again, at the end, you get an end product. How many of you suffer from parents who don't feel or don't get enough evidence of learning? How many of you face parents who come to class and say, my son didn't learn anything yesterday. My son didn't learn anything all the year. You're not a good teacher. How many of you are faced with that? Okay. It tells a lot about the parents now. Good. So, when you end the project with a presentation, where the students, for example, tell their parents that we did a survey, we asked people, and we came up to the conclusion, this conclusion of whatever, and then this all talking is done in English. Can the parents say, my student hasn't developed all through the year?
They can't.
No way, because he can see evidence. My son can stand there in front of people, speak fluently in English about a topic that's really interesting. Also, let's go back a bit to milestones, developmental milestones. This kid, this student, is still developing socially, emotionally, intellectually, and lingually. So, as teachers of English, we may narrow the focus only on lingual development. This is where you teach grammar, vocab, reading and writing, and things like that. But what about the other aspects? This kid is still developing, and it's your responsibility to enhance this development. How can you design an activity, a piece of paper, a sheet, that develops him socially? communicatively? How can you teach him to respect and understand the other? How can you teach him tolerance? Tolerance. And how can you teach him to accept anybody's input and to appreciate the effort of others, however minimum? How can a piece of paper do that? Only projects will help you do that. Why? Because they're not working individually anymore. They're working in teams, not groups. They're working in teams, where each member of the team has got a task to do, which is very important to the other members of the group or other members of the team, upon which everybody depends. And everybody has to evaluate. Oh, evaluate. Which skill is that?
Social skill.
Speaking,
judging. What's judging? What's evaluation?
Creation, the top of the
critical thinking. So when you evaluate what I'm bringing to the table in the project, you evaluate my effort, my contribution, the product I'm giving you. That's critical thinking, without me saying anything. Okay, how about emotionally? In your class, think of your classes. Have you ever seen students just arguing and shouting to each other out of nowhere, out of the blue?
They know how to express themselves.
Yes, but they're intolerant. They don't understand. How many of you have got specially gifted child, a child that nobody understands in the class, and the other students make fun of him? Yes, a special need, like someone who needs extra help to do that, to do an activity, and the other students give him hard times. How many of you face that on a daily basis? So now, this child has got a task to fulfill, and he comes the next day with that task. Can they mock him? Can they have hard feelings? Now, what if the task is incomplete? It's incomplete. What do they need to do? Do they have enough time to argue and fight, or they need to work on their feet and then cooperate and complete the task? This teaches them tolerance and understanding. This is how you teach the whole child, emotionally, physically, mentally, conceptually, socially, and communicative, of course. And above all, yes, we're teachers, so teaching language. Very good. Okay. Learner autonomy. What's meant by learner autonomy?
The learner choose what he do.
They choose what they do, and not
how
only
to
what
do.
they do.
What,
How they do.
Why?
How they are what? Yeah, learner autonomy is about independence. What is the easiest shortcut to learner independence?
Project.
I mean, yeah, okay, of course, projects. This is what I'm marketing now. I mean, if I want my students to work on their own, can they work inside the class or outside the class?
Both.
Basically, outside the classroom. If you want someone to work independently, the classroom is not the best environment. If you want him to Google something, search for something, build something, read about something, can he do that in class? Can they do that? No, they need to go outside, search the internet, ask people, give interviews, and things like that. Learner autonomy. It is not an easy thing to do, I know, but once you achieve it, it's miraculous. It gives you like the best time in your life. You're sitting relaxed, and they're doing all the job on their own. They're autonomous enough for you. I remember a quote by, do you know Montessori, Maria Montessori?
Yes.
She said, the best moment I feel, I'm not exactly quoting, but this is like a general paraphrase. The best moment I feel in class is when the children are working as if I have never existed. Can you just imagine that moment? When you're sitting in class just watching them work? Okay. Just think of your feet. Like, oh, my feet hurt. So I don't want to move around. I've got a sore throat. Why can't they do the work for me, talk for me, do the presentations, and so on? Okay. Mixed ability classes. How many of you can adapt like a piece of paper to both the weak students and the strong students at the same time? Can you do that? Is that an easy task to do? The same piece of paper that addresses both the strongest students in your class and the weakest? Is that possible?
Yes.
How? How is that possible?
Just put various kind of questions and let them work in pairs or teams.
That's peer support. So they work together, so the strong helps the weak. Okay. Differentiation. Differentiation is when you cater for all abilities, but not at the same way, not in the same way. So in a piece of paper, you may like to give the strong ones harder questions, a bit of a challenging questions, more than the weaker ones, and give the weaker ones a different sheet. You don't need to do that when you work on the project, because in a project, everybody knows what he can do and what he can't do, and then they give each other the suitable task. They do that. They do differentiation for you. You don't have to do anything.
So there is a leader there.
There is, of course, from them, one of them. Yes, a timekeeper, a leader, a designer, whatever. From them, they do it on their own. Okay. Oops. Now, what are the possible drawbacks, downsides of project-based learning? With your partner, can you just discuss it for 2 minutes? Get me at least 3 drawbacks or downsides to project-based learning.
trying to say, but we wrote some time, it is time consuming knowledge.
Yes, it can be. It can be. What else?
School management,
Yeah, okay, so can we hear it from you? What is the one possible drawback of project-based learning? What? Yes?
Misunderstanding is a task.
Okay, and how can we solve this? They didn't get what they need to do right. How can we solve that?
We can solve it by
Modeling, explaining the task. So whose mistake would that be? Would that be the students or the teachers? The teachers. That's a teacher's mistake, yes. Okay, very good. Anything else?
Shyness.
Yeah. Okay. So some of the students may be a little bit shy, which takes us to the communication part we were discussing here. There might be some miscommunication happening because one of the students is shy, or he's not confident about himself.
Maybe he's a newcomer.
Or a newcomer, yes. He doesn't know his ways. They know each other, but he doesn't know them. Excellent. Okay. Classroom management. Oops. And whose responsibility is that? The teachers again. So it's the teacher's role from the beginning, as early as the first class, to set the rules for classroom. Yes.
Maybe one student works and the other do not work because they do not have that necessary skills or the information.
Very good. Yes. So, can you just speak in the microphone?
Yeah.
They cannot. Can you say it again in the microphone?
دوسي على الاسود اللي تحت الإكران.
Yeah.
أيوه.
Maybe one.
Yes, yes, yes.
Maybe one student works and the others do not work because they do not have the necessary information or skills. If the teacher didn't manage the time well, it could consume the whole time because some groups might finish before other groups.
Yes.
Some students might fight together because they want the lead position or the speaking position. If the projects are outside the school, students might get the help from parents or cheat or do plagiarism or this stuff.
Yes. Okay. Thank you so much. These are all valid points. Yeah. Okay. Any other points? Yes, miss. Can you speak in the mic?
I think the list it will be prepared or organized before the material, the time, and the tasks of the students.
So you're saying that would put a burden on the teacher or the students?
Not on the teacher. It will be a so waste of time, and the parents will make complaints about that.
Yes.
They didn't take anything.
Yeah, they're doing meaningless tasks, and they don't have enough time to do the homework.
Yes.
Yes. Excellent. Thank you. Any other things? So yes.
Maybe a group of students, they understand each other, but outside the school.
Which is
they gather
good.
a project or doing something useful, they can't understand themselves, or they don't have the ability to understand.
Okay, maybe. These are young learners. They are totally unpredictable. Now, the possible problems. As you said, organization. Organization is more of designing what the project is, lending your grammar lesson to a project, lending the vocab to a project, because this is not an easy thing to do. The easiest thing to do is to teach grammar, present it, then give tasks, complete, write, and maybe write a letter in the present simple, write a question in the past simple. That's the easiest way to do. But how can I lend a present perfect lesson to a project? That's a lot of planning and from your side, from the teacher, a lot of planning and thinking from your side. That can be a burden on top of everything else that you need to do. Monitoring. What's monitoring?
Moving around the students.
Exactly. What am I monitoring? What am I supposed to monitor here?
Observe the communication.
Why? Why should the communication, huh?
Between the students.
Okay. What are we teaching?
Rules.
What are we teaching?
Language.
English. Do they speak English outside the classroom? Is that a speaking English environment or a non-speaking English environment?
Outside?
Outside the classroom, because they are going to take it outside the classroom. Do we work in an English-speaking environment? No, it's a non-English-speaking environment. So what is the first thing they're going to do once they step outside the classroom? They're going to speak in Arabic. How can you monitor this?
You can record it and give me examples or something.
But they're going to do 90% of the work in Arabic and 10% recorded in English. Okay, now how can you monitor them being on task? They're doing what they're required to do.
I assign a monitor from them.
Exactly. So they do that. They do that for you. They do the monitoring for you. Number one, you can use technology. For example, you know Padlet, the Padlet website? It's a website for writing. Google, like there are some applications in Google that helps you interact and see them writing. When did they submit? How are they doing it? What is the edit? Are they editing or just submitting the first draft? That's how you can monitor outside the classroom. Also, self-assessment. Self-assessment, what you need to do only is to give them guidelines for a self-check. Did we do that? Did we do that? Did we do that? Did we do that? Okay, good. Who has done this? Who has done the check? Not you, the students. So in order for you to work on monitoring, when they're working outside the classroom, you can either use technology or give them checklists. Okay. Personal problems, this is what you said. Number one, that's an activity that the parents would see and they cannot understand the relation between that activity and what they're studying. The teacher of English told you to do that. And probably he might be Googling in Arabic or doing something in Arabic for the English class. Oh, that's totally ununderstandable. On top of all the work that you're familiar with, studying, exams, homework, on top of everything, you want them to do extra search, design programs, design a project, execute it and work on it. That's a bit of a difficulty. And the last thing is communication. When, as you said, they sometimes communicate in an aggressive way to each other. Sometimes, because this is natural bullying. We're quite familiar with bullying everywhere. So they might bully each other, yes. Okay, so let's speak about organizing and developing a project. How do I start a project?
This is how to overcome these problems, or what?
Sorry?
This is the answers for...
So monitoring? No, monitoring is like when you give them a checklist or do it on online. Organizing, this is what you do while planning for your lesson. So you're planning anyway, right? So instead of planning for the sheets and activities, plan for a project. The workload that they have, now you don't have to ask them to do that on short intervals. Give them enough time, a span of time on which they need to deliver. That's it, because if you crash it all, they will just lose focus. They will be like focusing on what they need to do at the moment, exams, studies, homework to be delivered tomorrow, and they will forget about your project unless it's timed, like chunks, tasks, one at a time. Okay, now how do we start this? Number one, stimulus. Talk to them about it, introduce it. Now, we're studying the environment. There is a text somewhere in the book that speaks about recycling, about how we help the environment. Now, what you need to do is to speak to them about, so how can you help the environment? And leave it there. Leave it there. They will come up with all the answers that are possible. Objective. Remember when we said they cannot do anything because they are joining a job or they're traveling? The motivation is always intrinsic. So the objective has to be intrinsic as well. They have to see what they're working through in order to be fully engaged. If they cannot see the end product and why we're doing this, they will not be on task, ever. So objectives have to be clear, and they have to know that they're working towards something at the end. Language skills. What are the basic language skills?
Writing, reading.
Yes, writing, reading, speaking, and listening. Do you think project work in general, the same way we're developing it, lends itself to teaching or practicing or enhancing skills? Mm-hmm. The lingual skills at least? Yeah. Very good. Written material. What do I mean by written material? What is that?
Books.
Okay, so what they read and what they
write,
what they produce. They produce a poster, the environment, right? What is that? That's a piece of writing. In order to do this, in order to design a poster for their project, what is the first thing they need to know about posters?
Design the shape.
Genre analysis. They need to analyze what a poster is. They analyze the genre first. Oh, so we need a picture. We need to write in that font. What is this? What am I teaching them here? What's that? These are sub-skills. Writing, sub-skills. What to use? Are we using adjectives here? Are we using catchy language? Are we using idioms? These are sub-skills, writing sub-skills that you're teaching them. Group activities. Do you have a question? Group activities. Now, you set the activities, but you don't assign them. You tell them in order what I want the end product to look like. I want it to be a poster and a presentation. As we're going to see later, I want it to be a drama act, like you act a play. I want it to be that. But you don't tell them who does what. I want at the end some people presenting and a poster. Data. What is that? What is data doing in the project?
Give information.
Information, but it is not only information. Data is processed information. So they get the information, yes, but they have to analyze it, see which one is relevant, which one is irrelevant, and which one we're going to use it in the beginning, which one is in the end. So they're working. Are they reading?
Yeah.
Are they reading? Are they using their thinking skills, for example? Critical thinking. The end product, as I said, they decide how to reach the end product. What and how. Why, of course. For example, the end product can be, as we said, a presentation, can be acting, can be just a piece of writing, anything. And the final presentation. Now, in all this, what's your role? What are you doing? Sorry? Guide them. Yes. Are you forcing anything on them?
Motivate.
Sorry?
Motivate.
You motivate them. Very good. You facilitate learning. Exactly. You facilitate. This is when you see that they're stuck somewhere, they cannot move forward. Now this is where you come. You cannot do anything before that as long as it is smooth sailing. They're okay, they're working fine and everything, so why? Why bother? Just sit and relax. Only when you're needed, you intervene. Apart from this, no thank you. Sit there and relax. Now,
especially assessing is included there?
The assessment is not your job to do, it's their job. You just need to make sure that they're on track, they're doing what's needed on time, and the dynamics are okay. That's it. You're good, go on, and that's it. But if they cannot, for example, find data, something like that, what's your role here? Just guide them. Why don't you try this? Why don't you find this? I've got an article on this, and so on. That's it. So these are real life applications from my class. All the photos there are real photos taken from the class, so child protection rules are followed. All the parents know that their children were photographed, and this is upon parental consent, and this is the British Council property. Now, when I speak about project, is there a specific age where I can start a project with the group? Certain age?
No.
Can I start it with very young ones?
Yes.
Very good. Yes. A project is a project. The thing is that you decide on the scale. Is it a big scale project like a drama thing, or a small scale project like just a presentation or maybe a piece of paper or something like that? And they will amaze you. I'm telling you, take it from me. They will amaze you with the end products. They are always sensational. So primary ones, these were like 6-year-olds, and they don't have very good English. They're just like, the CEF, like the European framework. So they were just A.1. So they're just basic English, ABCs. So now, what we were learning numbers. They're very, very young. They were just learning numbers. So how would you put that into a project, learning numbers? How would you put that into a project? So it was a spaceship launch countdown boards. See? They were designing this. This is Play-Doh, and yeah, plasticine or Play-Doh, and then they decided to make the countdown with Play-Doh. These guys are a little bit older. They are 7-year-olds, so they have some language and they understand a lot. And they were intermediate, as I said. And the lesson was about beaches. The beach. What can you see on a beach? And the project was that everyone should go home and design or come with a poster on an island. You present it. So it was a presentation. This is one of the real things I got there. This is like, real things. He designed it. I don't know when and how, but he did that. And he came, that's Hawaii. That's a real picture of Hawaii. He came, just imagine one of your 7-year-olds coming to class speaking to you about Hawaii, the beaches, the natural scenery, what you can do there, the even factual information on the island. And this is what he did on his own. I guess with parental help, of course, obviously. But at least when he came, he was able to stand in front of people, present his island.
7 years old.
Yeah, they were 7 years. Okay, so these guys, this is the video we're not showing. These guys were learning about food. Food, tomatoes, carrots, and things like that. Their project was, you know the program MasterChef? The MasterChef where people come up with recipes? You should have seen that happening. It was sensational beyond words.
Yeah, we know
one of the videos, sorry?
Around the world in 80 dishes.
Something like that, yes. So one of the videos was one of the boys, his name was Abdurrahman. His mother gave him all the material you can imagine. All the tool, all the tools, all the ingredients. And he cooked in front of the video. He made cupcakes. That was his signature dish. And he was able to speak in the video. It wasn't, the presentation was recorded. So instead of coming to the class and saying it, his mother recorded it. And it was his signature dish for his new project as a chef. One of the girls presented mulukhiyya. And you can imagine how hilarious presenting mulukhiyya in English was. It was amazing. And I really loved it. Personally, I couldn't imagine the product to be like that. Couldn't imagine people getting really engaged, really into the task, that they involved their own mothers, and their mothers were like very into the task as well, that they videotaped them. They were really happy and proud. This is when the parents are partners. They were really happy and proud that they also got involved directly into the task. One of the students made scrambled eggs. That was very simple. But the fact that he was standing and saying scramble, do that, and these are verbs that were not taught in class. He had to find them on his own. And his mother was really happy. I don't know why, but it was just scrambled eggs. And this one, again, as I told you, they surprise you with the end product. This class are Sea Dragons, so they are a little bit older, they're 10-year-olds, and they are upper intermediate, so their language is really good. The lesson was basically about portraits. You know, portraits, the Mona Lisa, the girl with the pearl earring, and things like that. And I told them, now, if I want a project with I've got all the portraits and everything, what can I do with it? And I left them inside the classroom. This project didn't go outside the classroom. But this presentation, that was later, but the project itself as an idea happened inside the classroom. And that was a real surprise. They know, because as you can see, they are not very young anymore and they've got access to the internet and information. They came and told me we're going to have pop-up galleries. Pop-up galleries. That was the first time I personally, as an adult, hear that word. Pop-up galleries is when young artists who are not known, they are not in the mainstream, they gather together like 3 or 4 and they rent a gallery for a few days. They rent it from their own money for a few days and they put up their work and people come and see it. And then after a few days, the gallery is gone.
Are you talking about the people here in Egypt?
These guys, yes.
In Egypt.
Yeah, they're Egyptian. They're all Egyptians.
Like poker players.
I don't know. That's an area for me. That's a new area altogether. So they came up with the idea of pop-up galleries. That one, this is the closest to my heart, to be honest. That's a mix of drama-based learning and project-based learning. So the end product was an act. Now, how many of you teach drama so far? So you teach drama in class, and they're familiar with Shakespeare somehow. They know Shakespeare. As early as the previous ones even. These were lower secondary, and they were 12 to 15. And they know Shakespeare, and they've got good language. And they designed a British Council Got Talent show. And they forced me, the teacher, to get them like mentors. There is something like that happens in a talent show. They get mentors or something like that to teach them how to act. So I had to get 2 more teachers for them because they wanted that, to teach them how to act. Can you imagine? That's the play, Midsummer Night's Dream, if you know it. Yeah. The British Council was celebrating Shakespeare at that time, if you've heard of that. Yeah. They were celebrating 100 years, his birthday or something, I don't remember. So everything lent itself to Shakespeare and drama. And then they had, Midsummer Night's Dream tells about fairies and fancy dresses like fairies, and Romans, people from Rome in medieval ages and things like that. And I couldn't imagine that they can come up with clothes design. They designed their own clothes, and they designed the stage props, and designed every single thing. The twist here is that they also needed to write a modern version of Midsummer Night's Dream. Now imagine the 4 lovers having mobile phones and they can text each other. Can you imagine that? Or they can record things. How can that change, that make a dramatic twist in the events? Can you imagine that? Yeah. So this is what they did. What did I teach here? I taught idioms because they wanted modern language. They wanted the characters to speak modern 21st century language. So I had to teach collocations, phrasal verbs, and idioms. Also, I had to teach them some of the 21st century skills and things of technology and things like that. They made me do that. So can you imagine how engaged and involved they were? They were also, I was very democratic, and this is one of the methods, being democratic with the syllabus. So what they wanted to learn, I gave it to them. What they wanted to learn, I gave it to them. It is not pre-designed. They designed the curriculum. And last but not least, let's forget about this one because it's very... Yes, this is green. Can you see? Normally we say, have a white Christmas, because Christmas comes with the snow. This group designed a green Christmas. We were actually towards Christmas break. So this happened last December. And we were very close to Christmas break. In the British Council, we teach natural geographic books. And natural geographics are very concerned with the environment and going green. The lesson, the whole unit, was about in the environment, recycling, and the dangers of plastic. The project that they made was that they didn't give a presentation outside. They raised a campaign, an environmental awareness campaign, where they spoke outside the classroom to all the parents at the council, at the school. They went outside and they spoke to them about how to have a friendly and eco-friendly vacation. Whatever the vacation is, it should be eco-friendly. And yes, these were upper secondary, the ones I guess that you're teaching. They were 16-year-olds, and they've got good language. And yes, this is what they designed in the end: a green Christmas. Okay, I don't think I've got enough time, but you can reflect and think of one of your classes, one of the lessons that you taught before that can lend itself to a project, that you can turn it into a project. Is that possible, do you think, or not?
Sure.
Okay, I like the enthusiasm. Have you got any questions for me?
Yes.
Yes.
I think you talked about the intrinsic and intrinsic. And
Yeah,
you
extrinsic
said-
and intrinsic motivation.
Yes. You said that children only have intrinsic motivations. What about the teacher's role here to give them or create the extrinsic?
How can you tell him that you're learning to
Reward
for a
him.
better future? How can you tell him that you need English to get a better job, to get recruited? How can you tell
sing
him?
with English, to play with English?
They can
to
sing
have
in
fun
Arabic
with
and English and they're having fun. The only thing they need to know that motivates them to learn English in the first place, before singing, before writing, before doing anything, is that they like the activity. They like the pictures, they like the teacher, they like it's easy to do, they like it. If they like it, be it whatever, they will do it. You can ask them to like move mountains for you and they will do it.
It's my role then to make them like it.
Okay, yeah, basically, of course.
So this extrinsic.
No. You're developing the intrinsic. Extrinsic means that there is an external factor for you.
Like giving them candies or chocolate or something like that.
I have got lots of question marks on giving food to children. We're not supposed to feed children. I don't know about you guys, but
Maybe
in our
toys,
cases,
maybe toys,
we
maybe
cannot feed
something
children.
external, maybe toys, maybe something else, maybe pen even as a gift.
Okay, so you're giving them rewards for learning. And what if I don't get them, if you're getting them toys and I'm not getting them toys, I cannot afford it financially. Would my class be really boring?
I'm explaining just what does
Yeah, but I
means.
cannot
That's it.
rely on these things when it comes to young learners.
Encouraging bribery.
Yes. Bribery, yeah, we're teaching them bribery. Okay, anything else? Any other questions? Okay, thank you so much for being with me.
It was We're very happy to have you all today. You're one of the best groups we have ever did, since we started this program. Thank you very much for your time today.
Thank you.
One last thing. One last thing.
I was in Minya in when was it?
With
April?
Mr. Mohammed Hisham?
Hisham, Mr. Hisham. But I was not there. I'm going to Kafr Sheikh on the 28th. If you'd like to come, I'm going to Tanta on
Can I
the
have a minute with you, please? Can I have a minute? These are further reading lists.
Contact me, give me the contact of somebody who is responsible, and if you're willing to raise any event in any governorate, we are willing, no problem at all.
Yeah, in Kalubia. It's very isolated from the railroad.
Call me, Mr. and I can just do the email and we can have contact with each other. Give me the name of the inspector, whoever is in charge of carrying out the procedures, and we'll do it for you. No problem.
Okay,
at
so
all.
actually Ms. Nermeen has handouts and she would
Yeah,
like to
this
tell you
is
about
further reading. If you'd like to read more about drama-based or project-based learning, you can read it from here. These are ready-made lesson plans for Shakespeare. This is designed by the British Council. You can find it on the website. Yes, of course. Take one and plus. Take one and plus.
Well, these are extra copies. ومس هلا مش هتاخدهم وتروح. If you'd like to take from your friends,
Yes, please. Take a couple.
Yes, can we just split them? Can we split them? Yeah, so pass. Take. Pass.
And I want to take a picture with us with the banner. Just you can just wrap this up.